you were asked, what will you become? That question was a question that whenever people ask what would you become? What would you, and maybe you were asked this question when you were maybe in SS1 or SS2 or maybe younger than that. What would you become? The proper question the person was supposed to ask was, what would you study? Because becoming is a great journey. Because you can finish school today and then choose to do something entirely different from what you studied. What would you study? I think that would have been the best question. But if you look at the entirety of that question, one of the things the person was asking when they say, what would you become? Or what would you like to become? Is what next? What's next for you? Now you're done with secondary school. What next? Now you're done with the university. What next? Because at this stage of your life, when you're saying you're done with school, you're done with the university now, what next? And even if you're in the program right now listening to me and you're not done with school, you're still in the university, a question will come. If it doesn't come from someone it will come from someone that you don't know. It will come from people. It will come from a book. It will come in several ways, shapes, and form. But that question of what next will come. And it might even come from you. Because society has a way of asking us, what next? What's next for your life? And you must sit down to answer the question. You must sit down to say to yourself, what is next? But you can't answer the question, what next, if you don't start to correct some negative and wrong connotation by society. Because society, for society, there's a linear path. You say you finish school today and then you get a job and then you get married and then you have children and then you raise those children and then they get married and then that cycle continues and probably you die. That's the linear path for society. Now, but what we must understand is that's one thing we must correct. Another thing we must correct, if we're going to clearly answer the question, what next, is that we must understand, you listening to me right now, that you are not what you studied. If you base the entirety of your life only on what you studied, then you have formed a wrong judgment of yourself. What you studied is one part of your life. What you studied is just a fraction, a fragment of the possibility your life can carry. That is why when people say, what do you want to become? They say that word to connote that you literally can be anything you choose. Now, you study one thing for like a long time, but you can become anything you set your heart at. Because even as I speak right now, you may be listening to me and you know that you are multi-talented. You know that you have multiple potentials. The question, what will you become? The question, what next? If we must answer it correctly, we must then come back to deviate from attaching the only relevance we have in life to what we studied. That is why people want to study courses like medicine and law and all these courses so it can give them relevance because of the kind of society we have found ourselves. And I understand. But you must detach what you studied from the entirety of who you are. It's a part of who you are. But don't define yourself only by what you studied. Entirely, you are not a doctor. You studied medicine, you practice medicine, but there's so much in you that you can literally pick up one of the potentials you have and define what next for you. And then after a while, you define what's next again, because the question is going to keep coming. You can do one thing for 5 years, and then after 5 years, you're like, you know what? What's next? What's next? I've done this for 5 years. I've done this for 10 years. What's next? This question will continue. It will be a reoccurring decimal in your lives. After school, what's next? I just thought to pick on that because that's one of the things we must answer. Detach who you are from what you studied. And then don't go by society's linear path. The next thing you must do, if you must clearly make impact in society, is to set your eyes on global travels, to set your eyes on global impact, to set your eyes and understand that you were not meant to sit down in one country, to set your eyes and understand that there's something called global mobility, to set your eyes and understand that the world needs to hear what you have, to set your eyes and understand that there's something about you that cannot sit in one country. There's something about your life that cannot, yes, you might be in one country now, but there's something about your life that was meant to touch the ends of the earth. And how do you begin to do that? Because one of the things that must be next for anybody, right, is the fact, one of the things that must be next for you listening to me right now is to think of yourself and say, what potential do I carry that the world needs to hear? Because once you define that, once you look inward, and for you listening to me, it might come by meditation. For you listening to me, it might come by mentorship. For you listening to me, it might come by reading a book. It might come by watching a YouTube video. It might come by just being on the internet. It might come by going to a church or going to a mosque or wherever it is you go to. But it will come if you pay attention to it. There's something about your life that is beyond what you studied. There's something about your life that's beyond the course you studied. There's something about your life that's beyond your GPA. Now, and I understand that Nigeria, we have defined the entirety of humanity by what you studied and what you graduated with and all these other things. That's just a set of rules that you can break, actually, because it going to school just helps you. It's a path. It's a good path. It's a good start in that path for success. But it is not the only path to success. What am I saying in essence? Number one, we must start to question society's linear path. We must start to question it. Why must it be that it must be finish school and get a job? No. Why can't it be finish school and make global impact? Why can't it be finish school and make local impact? Why can't it be finish school and do something grandeur for society? Why can't it be finish school and consult? Why must it be this and that? Why can't it be different? Well, when you begin to question things, when you begin to say, why can't it be like this and why can't it be like that, innovation begins to set in. And with innovation comes global travel. And with global travel comes global impact. And with global impact comes the first answer to the question, what's next? We must define who we are. And if you must define who you are correctly, you must not base it only on what you studied. So that's the first thing you must start to do, right? The next thing you want to do is to find something that is a bit greater than yourself to invest yourself in. Now, if you're still in the process of finding out who you are and finding out the potentials you have, then volunteer for someone that has found out who they are. Volunteer for someone that has found out the path that they carry. Volunteer for someone greater than you. Volunteer for someone bigger than you. Stop setting your eyes on just being locally relevant. Stop setting your eyes to become a local champion. No, understand that your locality will benefit from you for a while, but if you must grow, you must set your eyes on global standard. And global standard might just mean starting from someone greater than you, investing your time there, investing your effort there, and then learning the ropes. No. So even if you need to get a job for the main time, that's okay. But get a job, do the job, and then weekends, volunteer for someone greater than yourself. Volunteer for someone bigger than yourself. Why? Because what you're doing is the job sustains you for just a while. You don't want to stay there too long. Because as you volunteer for someone bigger than yourself and greater than yourself, what you're starting to do is you're starting to become greater than yourself. So that's the next step. For some people, it might be that I need to get a job now. Yes, to just meet my daily need. That's okay. I need to start a small business now to meet my daily needs. That's okay. But what's next for you must be beyond that. What's next for you must be looking for someone that is greater than you. If you have not fully found out who you are, fully found out the potentials you carry, you must look for someone that is greater than you. And that person might not be in your locality. That person might be in another city. That person might be in another state. That person might seem unreachable. But you must continue to press. You must continue to send them mails. You must continue to tweet at them. You must continue. Let me tell you something. Persistence, when you are very, very persistent, it pays off. As long as you are persistently doing the right thing, Looked at the Bible the other time, and they talked about a woman that was persistently going to ask a judge in the city to give her justice. This judge feared nobody. He did not fear man. He did not fear God. He didn't fear man. He didn't care who you are. He wasn't going to help. He did not also fear God, because you're going to be in situations like that where you're going to meet people that you want to be like. You're going to meet people that have achieved great things, and they don't fear God and they don't fear man. What do you do then? The only thing such people fear, like never before, the only thing such people respect and honor and tremble at is persistence. Is constantly saying, this is what I want. Well, let me tell you something. Once the people see focus, they bow to focus. Once they see persistence, because let me tell you, it takes a lot to be resilient. What next is number one, I've said, one of the things you must do is to define your purpose and define where you're going. The next thing you must do is volunteer for someone greater than yourself. The next thing you must also do when you're talking about the question of what next is to begin to pick up the skills that they didn't teach you in school. There are certain skills that were not taught in school. We had no class on that. We had no class, for instance, on how to network with great people. You must begin to learn that. We had no class, for instance, on how to multiply wealth. You must begin to learn that. Well, I don't have money to multiply now. Learn it first. Learn it first. There's something about you. That's why you're listening to me today. That's why you're on this program today. You must understand that there are skills, that there are attributes, that there are characters, that there are things you did not learn in school, but society needs them. You must begin to learn. How do you manage relationships? You must begin to learn. What is resilience? What does it mean not to give up? You must study it. You must learn it. You must understand it so that you can apply yourself to it. You begin to learn the skills that you were not taught in school. What does integrity mean? What does it mean to keep my words? What does it mean to keep the time? What does it mean you must also begin to study other countries. What do they do in the UK? What do they do in the US? What's happening in China? You begin to set your eyes on global standard. If it means to buy a world map, buy a world map. But there's something about you that is greater than where you are right now. There's something about you that is greater than what you currently studied. And if you don't set your eyes on it, it will not give you what you want. So define your purpose. And when you define your purpose, detach what you study. The next thing, apply yourself to someone greater than yourself. The next thing, begin to develop skills that they did not teach you in school. One of the things you must do as you develop skills, as you apply yourself, as you begin to craft your message, is you must begin to ask yourself, where can my potentials be maximized? Because one of the things you must never stop doing is asking yourself, what am I great at? Not what are you good at, what are you great at? Because you see, what you're great at is what is trapped inside of you. There's something trapped inside of you. And it's beyond just looking for what's your talent. What's your talent? What's your gift? What's your skill? You must understand that, because certain people, we have this thing where people say, oh, there's a skill acquisition program. If you found your talent, you don't need to acquire any skill. You need to become skilled. The thing you do that is great, and you cannot, and don't also define yourself by one talent. Who says you can't be multi-talented? Who says you can't do two things after you've done one and do another one? Let me tell you something. Becoming, it's a process. Becoming, it's a lifetime journey where you do something for a while and then you drop it and then you do another thing for a while, and then don't let anybody put you in any box to say, oh, you are this, you are that. No. I understand the need to niche down, and I understand the need to have that niche, but also don't allow the niche to put you in a box, because society can do something very good. They put people in boxes. Come out from those boxes. Start to find you, because the only gift you can give the world is not your education. The gift the world is waiting to get is you. And the best gift a man can actually get is the gift of self. Once you know you, once you know what you carry, then you know who to apply yourself to. Then you know what situations to apply yourself to. Then you know what projects to start. Then you know what companies to work for. Then you understand that anybody that actually employs you is not doing you a favor, because there's something you carry. Find you. List out all the things you're great at. And then find somebody that has done it better than you. Apply yourself there. While you're doing that, begin to learn the skill that is needed for global mobility. You must learn the skills that is needed for global mobility. You cannot stay in one place. You cannot sit down and tell yourself you are going to be in Nigeria for this long time. No. If it means applying for a scholarship after you've found your skill, apply for that scholarship. If it means looking at the internet to look for what are the globally relevant courses, because sometimes you might have studied something, and then that thing, if you do a master's and get a scholarship, it might make you globally relevant. What are the courses in the world today that are globally relevant? Now you finish school, or you're in the process of finishing school, what are the globally mobile courses? How do you do that? Go to the country's website, look for what they call shortage occupation skills. And those shortage occupation in most of those countries are what the countries are looking for. They're looking for it. If you go to these countries and then study them very well and then even apply for scholarships, that helps you, right? But you must begin to set your eyes on global standards. You must begin to look at what they're doing in other parts of the world. Does not end around your village. The world does not end around your city. The world does not end around your state. Apply yourself to global standard. Look at what's happening in the world. Look at how can you solve problems for the world. Because what you want to do as you round up school is be a problem solver, not a job seeker. That's why we're saying no alarm clock should be needed when your passion wakes you up. Because there's a way you would have found out a lot of things about you that you become so passionate to apply them. And when passion sets in, alarm clock is useless. What's next? What's next for you? What's next for your life? What's next for the potentials you carry? What's next for all the things that you said you will do? What is next? And never be fooled to think that wisdom comes by age. It doesn't. It's a spirit. If you need wisdom in all the things you're going to do, ask the Lord for it. That's the next thing we're going into. Spend time in prayer. Spend time in meditation. Because in meditation and in prayer, the Lord can reveal certain things to you. So you must spend time in doing that. What is next for you? That's a burning question you must continue to ask. When you spend time in prayer, asking what is next, that burning desire to question for what's next, the probe for what's next, will bring answers, will bring solutions. Wisdom doesn't come by age. Wisdom is a spirit. And listen, in every country there's a legal age to drive. In every country there's a legal age to take alcohol. There's a legal age to smoke. There's a legal age to get into school. There's a legal age for almost everything. But once you found out your potential, once you found out who you are, once you begin to apply yourself to great people, once you begin to develop the skills that they didn't teach you in school, once you begin to say to yourself in prayer, I need to know what's next for my life, once you begin to spend those times on YouTube and spend those times on the country's page, let me tell you something. You might want to go to a country today, but you're asking yourself, I want to go to Canada. You even know the website of Canada, What's the government's website? Go and look at it. Go and check the problems there. What problem can you solve when you get there? What problem can you solve when you get to the UK? What problem can you solve when you get to the US? When you begin to apply yourself to knowledge and develop all these things I've talked about, when you do get your visa to go to those countries, you will be grateful, but you will not be surprised. Because you've applied yourself already. There's a legal age to do everything else. In every part of the world, the law, there's a legal age for everything. But the only thing that no country has set a legal age on as we speak is success. There's no legal age for success. There's no legal age for... Have you not noticed that there's no law on success in countries where they say this is the legal age for you to be successful? No, some people can be successful at 9, some successful at 10, some successful at 21. There is no legal age for success. And that's why we always say success is unisex. You can achieve it. What am I saying in essence today? As we talk about what's next, is to continue to ask yourself, what am I created to do? What problems am I created to solve? Once you set your eyes on problem solving, the world will embrace you, and you will be the one choosing what countries to go and solve those problems. Problems will never end in the world. Nope. There will continue to be problems. And there's a problem that was specifically created for you to solve. Stop waiting. Stop thinking that there's a special thing. Most of the people you've seen today that are successful, that are globally mobile, that are globally relevant, that are applying themselves, they have spent their time seeking knowledge. Put your nose to the grindstone. And every other thing they didn't teach you in school, it's time to learn them. I'd like to thank the organizers of this program, After School Was Next, and just appreciate them for inviting me to speak. I couldn't be there with you physically today because I'm over here in the UK doing a couple of things, but I wish you the very best. My name is Zion Oshiobugie. Connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, and every other social media platform. I wish you well.